What is up, everyone? Justin here with a recap of the 2021 Midwest Gaming Classic Weekend Road Trip. Now it's currently November, and typically we head down to this event in April, but of course last year the event was canceled, and then this year they pushed it to November, which actually kind of sort of works out better for us, being that there's less of a chance of severe winter weather, which of course we've had to deal with in many years past. So our first stop of the weekend is this Goodwill here, about an hour away from where we live. This is kind of like a bathroom break stop, really, because not a whole lot of game finds to be had here, at least in my experience. And then again, I'm only in here a few times a year, so what can I really expect? And I'm not going to say I've never found a video game at this particular Goodwill, but unfortunately this time, no game finds to be had. Alright, second stop and second Goodwill. This one is right when we cross the border into Wisconsin, and it is notoriously a hassle to pull in and out of this Goodwill just because of where it's positioned in relation to the highway and stuff. I also have zero cell phone service once I get inside this building, which makes looking anything up a huge chore. And unfortunately, I don't really have anything else to say or show at this Goodwill because I don't think we saw a single video game in the entire place. Once we get down into the Green Bay area, we typically stop in at the Midwest Trading Company here. It's not a video game store, it's just like a pawn shop, but they do have a couple glass cases and a few shelves of video game stuff. And I should mention early in this video that we were actually just down in this area shopping in September when we went to LinkCon in Merrill, Wisconsin, and we kind of made a loop through the Green Bay Appleton area, and we hit most of these same stores. So a lot of the stuff that we're seeing is stuff that we just saw a couple months ago. And oddly enough, the only purchase I made from this store on this trip was a game that I believe was for sale in the glass case back in September when we were here. And I don't know why I didn't buy it then. My only thought was maybe they dropped the price on it between September and now. So for $7.99, I got this Hitman Absolution Professional Edition set for the PS3. It had a game, some bonus content disc, and an art book. So I thought that was a pretty good deal for $7.99. Seems to be a little obscure. And next up in Green Bay is the Glass Monkey. Just kidding, we're going to Don Father Games here, formerly GB Games. This is another store we were at back in September and actually spent quite a bit of money here in September. Although something about this store that rubs me the wrong way, it's something I wanted to share, was they have this employee that works there, and I don't know if he's like a manager, I don't think he's the owner or if he's just an employee or what, but he's always in here. And when we were here in September, I was kind of looking up some games on my phone, scanning some barcodes, and the employee made it a point to tell me that all of their prices are based off of, eBay sold listings. And I just kind of brushed it off. I was like, okay, cool, whatever. However, this time, he again saw me scanning some games on my phone and went out of his way to tell me that, oh, we just price checked all these games within the last week. Basically telling me, don't expect to find a good deal at my store. However, check out what I bought from this store back in September for $64.99. So yeah, someone can look that up and let me know if I found a good deal on that one. Unfortunately, I did not get that lucky this time around, and all I walked out with was a stack of cheap N64 games, and with the exception of the Mayhem Wrestling, I just plan to harvest the backs off of the rest of them to put on better games. So now we're at Fast and Easy Pawn in Green Bay, which is a store that mostly has just newer stuff. They did have a pretty decent Nintendo Switch selection though, including a few copies of Mario 3D All-Stars, which is a game I've been looking for a good deal on. But oddly enough, the top copy was priced at $29.99, and the other two were priced at $39.99. Now, Ryan and I both kind of wanted to buy a copy, and luckily for us, the employee was able to match the lower price for us. Even though he did look it up and saw that all of them probably should have been priced at $39.99, we both walked out with a copy for $30 feeling like we won. And our final stop for the drive down was this Mega Media Exchange, basically in downtown Milwaukee. This one is just a few minutes from the hotel actually, but it's one we've never been to before. It's a little bit hard to get to just with like parking and stuff, and it's actually on like the upper level of a FedEx building. But when we got up there, I was actually pretty impressed with their selection. They had a lot of really nice stuff. From what I could see, the prices were all pretty much spot on, but I did make one purchase, a copy of King Arthur for the GameCube for $11.99. I think it only goes for like $12 to $15, but it's one that I don't see very often, so I decided to add it to the collection. Jumping ahead to Friday evening now, this is us walking down to get our wristbands for the weekend. And to be completely honest, I'm just messing around here. I got a new GoPro for my birthday a couple months ago and haven't had a lot of time to use it yet, so just kind of experimenting here before the convention officially begins. Of course, our first destination for Saturday morning was the vendor hall. Here's an overview shot of the room here. Absolutely massive room here, which is perfect for something like this. There was plenty of room to walk around. I mean, yeah, like the individual tables and stuff would get crowded when there was a bunch of people looking at stuff, but as far as being able to just move freely, walk from table to table, there was plenty of room. They have a bunch of food vendors and drink vendors and stuff set up at the far end of this same room, so it's convenient that everything's kind of right there. And as far as like prices and stuff go, I will say that I came into this weekend expecting prices to be through the roof in the vendor hall. With everything going on, both in the world of video games and outside the world of video games right now, I figured there would be some definite sticker shock going on this weekend, but I was pleasantly surprised. Now, I didn't pick up a ton of stuff from the vendor hall. We'll get into what I did pick up later in the video, but I was pretty impressed with how reasonable most of the prices were. So I'm going to just take a step back here for a moment and let everyone enjoy some of the sights and sounds of MGC 2021.
Yeah, it's expensive. I think that's a big part of why I think some of the nature of collecting has changed.
So I had a mission coming into this weekend. I had brought a few games with me to get signed by some of the celebrity guests that I knew were going to be there. And this first one here, the guy on the left of the table there is Scott Burns, who was the voice of Bowser in Super Mario Sunshine and some of the other Mario games from that era. So of course I brought a copy of Super Mario Sunshine for him to sign for me. He wrote me a nice little note on there, super cool. And next up was Tim Kitzrow, who was the voice of NBA Jam, NFL Blitz, and a few other games. Some of you might remember I met Tim at the last MGC, and he signed a poster and a Super Nintendo cartridge for me. So this time I made sure to bring my Sega Genesis version, and he was nice enough to sign not only the case artwork, but also the cartridge and the manual for me. Plus he did a little on-camera bit with us as well. Check it out.
Welcome to NBA Jam Midwest Gaming Classic from downtown Boom Shakalaka.
Yeah, Tim is a super cool guy, super nice, and he's actually one of the first people we ran into right when we got to the hotel and checked in. We were both waiting for an elevator at the same time, so we got to stop and talk to him for a minute or so. And this last autograph story is kind of a funny one. So sitting next to Tim Kitzrow was a couple of the Mortal Kombat guys, some of the guys that were involved with like the live action stuff in the earlier Mortal Kombat games. And I had brought my copy of Mortal Kombat 1 on the Genesis, and I was going to see how many signatures I could round up on it. So I asked the guy there, you know, how much for a signature, and he said it was $40, which was a little bit steep. I mean, the other guys were like 20, 25 bucks. But it was kind of like a package deal. The guy was there selling this book that he wrote, and he was signing posters, and he signed my copy of my game for me and stuff. But anyway, the guy's name is Philip Ahn, I believe, is how you pronounce it. And I guess he's like a medical doctor now and stuff, and he wrote this book. And it wasn't until I got home that I really looked at like the signatures that I got from him. It was so chaotic there. There was loud music playing and stuff. I didn't really think to look at it. But I looked at it and I saw that he signed his name on my game, and then he put MK2 next to it. And I was like, okay, that's kind of odd. I thought this guy was like from the first game or whatever. And sure enough, I looked on the back of the book that I bought from him, and no, this was the guy that played Shang Tsung in Mortal Kombat 2. So yeah, it was just kind of one of those facepalm moments, you know, kind of still a cool package to have and whatnot, but for $40, you know, I guess I don't feel too bad now about using some screenshots from the inside of his book here for my B-roll. And I'll read the book, you know, maybe there's $40 worth of inspiration in there. Now let's take a look at my 2 loan purchases from the actual vendor hall. Just a couple GameCube games I needed for the set here. MLB Slugfest 2003 for $10, and The Hobbit, which I believe I paid $12 for. Both of those were complete, and those prices were below retail, so I was happy to add those to the set. But the big transaction of the weekend came in a trade that I did with my buddy Caleb, who goes by Topsy Turv on Twitch. Everyone go check him out. He brought basically a small moving box full of stuff that he was looking to sell or trade. And of course I had my trade box with me as well, so he picked out everything he wanted from me, and we ended up just making a straight swap. It was like remarkably close value-wise, so I think we were both happy with that. And let's take a look at some of the highlights from that deal. My favorite item that I got from him was this boxed Dreamcast bundle. And I had never seen this bundle before. It's kind of unique in that it's like a sports game bundle, but it's not the black Sega Sports Edition system. It's like one of the original white systems. And it had 2 boxes with it. So there was like the outer box that was advertising the sports games and stuff, and then the inner box, which was just a generic white system box, but was in like super mint condition. And it was missing the games and I believe a controller, but I think I have most of the pieces here at home to complete this one. And next up, let's check out this Atari Lynx. This is the first Atari Lynx system that I've ever owned. I believe this is the Model 2 Atari Lynx. And it's not in great shape. The screen's kind of scratched up and the back is missing like the foam or the rubber or whatever was supposed to be on there. But almost cooler than the system itself was the Atari Lynx branded carrying case that came with it. And the final items from this trade that I wanted to highlight here were these Game Boy boxes. So there was no cartridges in these were just boxes and manuals only, but there was some really nice stuff in here, as you can see, and I'll be working to complete as many of these as I can. I also wanted to make sure that I gave a shout out to our buddy TJ for hooking me up with these games here. He was nice enough to bring a couple stacks of games and let us all pick out what we needed for our collections. So as I'm kind of showing some of the other happenings of the convention here, I just wanted to kind of give my final thoughts on the weekend. Of course, we had a blast as always. I really like the idea of just being able to get to the hotel, you park your car, and then you're there for the weekend. I mean, the hotel's connected to the huge convention center here. We didn't even have to go outside or anything. Once we were there for 2 days with essentially an unlimited amount of things to do. You know, almost too much stuff to do in 2 days. But despite all of the awesome stuff that I've shown in this video, I have to say that the reason we keep coming back every year really is to just hang out with some good people, you know, some good friends. And we have some drinks, we play some games, and we just catch up. And for some of these friends, this is the only time of year that we get to see them. So you all know who you are, and I want to thank all of you for making this another truly awesome MGC weekend. And I can't wait to do it all again, whenever the next MGC might be. So I want to thank everyone for sticking around and checking out this entire video. I really hope you enjoyed my weekend recap of MGC 2021. And until next time, take care.